What is it like for someone like yourself to watch a typical time travel movie or something like that without trying to ruin it for yourself?
No, I give them space. No pun intended. You know, if as long as they put some thought into it, then I'm good with that. And they can make stuff up on the edges. But if you start making stuff up in the middle when we already have established science, then you don't really have me. It's lazy science fiction rather than perceptive science fiction. Plus, I'm a fan of Mark Twain's edict, which is first get your facts straight, then distort them at your leisure. That's brilliant. It says, I'll give you I'll give you room to be creative, but only after you did your homework.
Yeah. I remember years ago when I was a little bit younger, I remember loving this sort of series you had on Twitter where you would almost pick apart these famous favorite movies of everyone. What was your sort of favorite movie to ruin for someone?
Well, I don't see. That's just a matter of perspective. I think I was enhancing the
Enhancing.
movies for people. That's what I think I was doing. But I think I got in the most trouble for commenting on the movie Gravity. This is brilliantly conceived and executed, and I just thought because it was so brilliant, that ought to give me the right to, or the latitude, to criticize for what they got wrong, because they got so much right. So let's just see if they get an A plus or just an A, all right, or an A minus instead of a B plus instead of an A minus. So I commented on some things, and then people lost their minds. Right? Oh, you're ruining it for everybody. Why? Blah, 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 blah. And I thought to myself, let's say you have a friend who's a fashion designer, who knows the history of fashion and is good at it. And then you go see let's say a Jane Austen period piece from whenever her stories took place, mid 1800s, early 1800s, and a carriage rolls up to this big mansion, and the people get out, and the men are wearing top hats. But your friend says, nope, they would have been wearing derbies instead. That they got that wrong. That's too early by 20 years. I mean, I'm making this up, but you get the sense of this. You would say, hey, you know your stuff. You'd be impressed with that person, wouldn't you? And here in the United States, I assume elsewhere, but especially in the United States, we have car experts who know every make and model of every manufacturer every year. And then maybe there's some period piece that takes place in 1958, and parked on the street is a 1962 Chevrolet Bel Air. They'll say, nope, that design wasn't out yet. Their set person, they didn't do it right. You say, hey, you're good. They're not kicked out of the theater. They're praised for their expertise and their insight. And so when I do the same thing, people say, get out of here. And I just want the same love that people give these other. That's all I want. So Gravity, I mentioned a dozen things that were suspiciously lazy, given how much effort was put into everything else. But actually, that's probably not the most famous. The most famous, I'd say, is the sky over the sinking Titanic. I made a big deal of that to James Cameron, and I didn't get any reply for like 10 years. I was writing to his agent, to the theater company, the movie company. And I finally bumped into him, and I explained it to him person to person. And you know what he said? He said, last I checked worldwide, Titanic has grossed more than $1 billion. Imagine how much more it would have grossed had I used the correct sky. It's like, okay. All right. Time for me to just go home, okay? But sure enough, within weeks of that, I got a phone call from his production company, and they said, we are making a director's cut with an IMAX release, and we are adding footage. And James Cameron tells me that speaking to me, tells me that you have a sky that he can use. And I said, whoa, that's classy. Okay. So rather than beg forgiveness for what had happened before, he's going to fix what he does in the future. That's fine. And so I supplied him with the sky that he could use in all of these vantage points as you look around the sinking ship. So that one made the news, and everybody was talking about it.
Yeah. So just for a bit of context then, just quickly, what was wrong with the sky that we had to change it?
Well, so holding aside what we know, the longitude and the latitude and the day, date, and time the Titanic sank. So there's only one sky above the Titanic that they should have shown. It was not only the wrong sky, it was a lazy sky, because the stars on the left half of the image were a mirror reflection of the stars on the right half of the image. And I don't have tolerance for that. By the way, if it was a low-budget movie, and that's all you could do, fine. I'd say nothing of it. But I remember when that movie was marketed. James Cameron discovers Titanic at the bottom of the ocean, gets footage, and accurately recreates the staterooms, the wall sconces, the china patterns, every of the plates. Everything was recreated in meticulous detail, except for the night sky. So, amazing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one I remember enjoying was you pointing out, I think it was you that pointed out, that obviously Star Wars, the film, has got all these great visual effects. It's got these great sounds, these massive explosions, these laser sounds, but in a reality, Star Wars would be a very quiet film.
Yeah, but just be silent movie. Yeah, if you're out in, it's just... Now, that one, I've stopped arguing about that one, because they want the sound, they need the sound. Sound is it adds an emotional dimension to what you're seeing as people chase each other in space. So